to your list post free agency. So you first got the Bengals. I believe they're heading in the right direction. If they can nail the draft and Joe Burrow continue to improve, they can potentially be a playoff team. Right now, they still lack talent and still have some holes in their roster, so they're D. Next, you got the San Francisco 49ers. They have a talented roster. I believe they're still drafting a QB with that third pick they traded up. And even if that rookie QB will probably do good, they have a really talented roster. And they're B right now. Chicago Bears. Added Andy Dalton, so they don't have a franchise quarterback. They lost some pieces on defense. Allen Robinson came back, but their offense still needs help. So I'm gonna put them in C. Green Bay Packers. They have the MVP Aaron Rodgers. Their roster has some nice pieces like Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, and they went 13-3 the past 2 years, so they are S. The Cardinals. They added some nice pieces, like J.J. Watt. They have DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, but they kind of disappointed last year with an 8-8 record. I still think they can make the playoff next year, so I'm gonna put them in B. You got the Indianapolis Colts. Well, they have a really well-rounded, talented roster. It really lies on Carson Wentz. I believe he'll do well, but I can't be certain. So they're B right now. The Seattle Seahawks. They still have Russell Wilson. They haven't traded him yet. They improved their offensive line. They lost some pieces in the secondary and run game. They're overall still solid. Not sure if they can go 12-4 like last year, but I still see them as a B team. The Texans. Well, they traded all their draft pick away a few years ago for Tunsil and had to pay him a lot. Deshaun Watson wants out. The defense was terrible last year. They haven't done much to address it, so they're F. Jacksonville Jaguars. They hired Urban Meyer, which I think is a boomer bust coach. Their roster isn't the most talented. They will draft Trevor Lawrence, which is good, but how well will he do with the Jaguars? Nobody knows. But for me, they're still an F team. The Chargers. They made some nice moves. They signed Corey Linsley. They have a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. They still have their wide receivers. The defense is not injured anymore. And I'm going to put them in B right now. The Dallas Cowboys. I do not believe they addressed their defense enough during free agency. They re-signed Dak Prescott. They still have a ton of talent on offense. I am not a fan of Mike McCarthy. I do not think they'll get them far if in the playoff. So for me, they're a C team. The Giants. They made some moves in the offseason, like Galladay, and I thought they were nice moves. I'm not sold on them yet. I do not think Daniel Jones is their franchise quarterback. So I'm going to put them in D. The Carolina Panthers. They have good wide receivers, and Teddy Bridgewater was average at best last year. They still need a quarterback, and their roster isn't that talented, so they're D. The Saints, they were in cap hell. They need a new quarterback. I'm not sure if Tyson Hill is their quarterback. Drew Brees retired, and they definitely declined from last year. I still think they can be somewhat competitive for the playoffs, so I'm going to put them in B. The Philadelphia Eagles. They are also in cap hell. As a team that's not very good in cap hell, you can't really improve your team much. They have Jalen Hurts. I'm not sure if he's the quarterback for the future. They traded back to 12. Their roster is just not talented. I'm going to put them in F. The Minnesota Vikings. They need to revamp their defense, which I think they did by adding a few pieces. Kirk Cousins actually had an above average season last year, and they have Dalvin Cook, which I think can win their more games. So right now, I'm gonna put them in C. They can definitely compete for a playoff spot. The Buffalo Bills, they really impressed last year. They went 13-3. Josh Allen became a legit MVP franchise quarterback. Stephon Diggs was among the best. and they can definitely compete for a Super Bowl next year. They're an S team. New England Patriots. They added a bunch of free agents, offense, defense. They have a lots of players returning. Not sure how well they will all gel together, especially at the beginning of the year. So I'm gonna put them in C as of right now. The Denver Broncos. They have a talented team, except for quarterback. They have Drew Lock. I do not believe he's the franchise. They have a good offense with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. Their defense is still relatively good. They just do not have that quarterback. So I'm gonna put them at C. You got the Los Angeles Rams. They traded for Stafford. They lost some pieces on defense and some on offense. They're still really good. They're an A team right now. The Lions. They haven't done anything much. They're rebuilding forever. They traded for Jared Goff and they lost some of their wide receivers. They're an F. The Jets. They've made the best move by firing Adam Gase. They added some nice pieces on offense. Not sure what their quarterback situation is like. I believe they're going to draft Zach Wilson, but they're still an F team. Cleveland Browns. I really like what they did in free agency. They addressed their secondary. Their offense is still good, and their running backs are among the best duo. Baker Mayfield, I feel like will continue to improve, and I can feel this team is going to compete for a Super Bowl. But I do not believe they're an S just yet, so I'm gonna put them in A. Baltimore Ravens. They lost some pieces, especially on defense. They added Samuel Watkins on offense. Lamar Jackson, he didn't have the best year last year, but he was still really good. And they won their last, I believe, 5 games, and they're still an A. The Atlanta Falcons. I am not sure what they're gonna do on with the quarterback. I believe they're gonna stick with Matt Ryan, but I can't be sure. And I believe they're D. Kansas City Chiefs. They're an S. They went up to the Super Bowl last year, but due to offensive line issues, they faltered, and they still have really talented at Patrick Mahomes. Next up, we have Tampa Bay. They're also an S. They kept all their roster, which I was really impressed with, and I believe they're going to compete for another Super Bowl next year. The Miami Dolphins. They went 10-6 in a surprising season. They added Will Fuller. They have a clear direction after trading back, and they're B right now. The Raiders. They let their offensive line go. The offense, I believe, was still talented. I'm not sure if they added much on defense or not, but right now they're C. The Tennessee Titans. They have Derrick Henry. They have AJ Brown, Ryan Tannehill. Their defense, they did sign Dupree, but I believe their defense still needs work. So right now they're B. The Washington football team. They added nice pieces. I do not believe Fitzpatrick will get them to the playoffs. I know he has his moments, but he also has his downfalls as well. So right now they're C, and they're gonna compete for that weak NFC East. Steelers. They did not improve during the offseason. They really need a running game, which I did not see, especially during the end of last year. Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to carry if they're going to win. So I'm going to put them in B right now. And there you have it, my NFL tier list.